What's up, guys? I'm Johnny Phantom. Welcome to my channel where we talk about all things fandom, such as Harry Potter, One Piece, Disney, whatever you name it. That's really annoying. The window glare. Anyway, guys, I'm Johnny Phantom, and I'm here to talk to you today about fandoms. I talk about all things fandom, such as One Piece, Disney, Star Wars, Harry Potter, whatever you name it. So let's get into today's video right away because I have some great stuff to talk to you about. We are talking about One Piece and the truth about Shanks and the God Valley incident. God Valley incident. Yeah, that's right. I said that right the first time. Don't judge me. If you're new here, make sure you like button and that subscribe button, and let's get into today's video. God's Valley and what happened at God's Valley. We don't know much about what happened exactly at God's Valley, but we can make assumptions and try to figure it out. I have a few assumptions of myself, depending on the translation of the most recent chapter, where we find out about Garland Figureland, who is a God's Knight, and we know that he was from God's Valley. So let's get into it. Let's try to figure out who Garland is, what his role is, what plays a role in God's Valley, why is God's Valley so important, what happened at God's Valley, and all that. Let's get into it. So there's two separate translations in the most recent chapter, the official Viz translation and then the pre-translation. Now, a lot of times the Viz translation may not be totally accurate, just saying. The first translation that we got was that Garland Figureland was the king of God's Valley. And we know that God's Valley is gone. The Viz official translation says that Garland Figureland was a hero of God Valley. So, we know that 800 years ago, the world government came together and formed the world government using the 20 countries that came together, put their swords down on that empty throne in order to create the world government. Now, these 20 different kingdoms all came together. There's more kingdoms than 20, obviously, in the One Piece world. Enough! But we assume there's like sub kingdoms within a kingdom, like maybe the Dressrosa kingdom is also in charge of 5 other kingdoms. So the kings of Dressrosa, which were 800 years ago, the Don Quixote family, they were in charge of others. So the Don Quixote family went to Mary Joie and left the other kingdoms that they were in charge of behind, and they became the royal family that moved to Mary Joie. Because of the mention that Garland Figureland was a hero or a king of God Valley, and the instances that we see in Film Red on how Roger found Shanks at God Valley, and Shanks is said to be a Figureland, we can assume that God Valley itself didn't abide by the same rules that other kingdoms did. It may not have been one of the original 20 kingdoms. For all we know, God Valley, had a kingdom back then. That family moved to Mary Joie, and left the Figureland family in charge. That was my original theory, is that the Figureland family became the kings of God Valley after the original royal family, whatever it may be, moved to Mary Joie. So, if that is true, and the Figureland for me lived on God Valley for the past 800 years, being the rulers of God Valley, then we can assume that because of the instances at God Valley, they were told, hey, we're going to take you to Mary Joie. And because of those instances, because of what happened at God Valley, they became the Holy Knights. This is my theory. Don't really have any proof, but let's just go on a ramble here. So, we know that the incidents that happened at God Valley between Roxy Zebek versus Garp and Roger. Some big battle took place on God Valley between the Vox Pirates, the Marines, and the Roger Pirates. We don't know what the scenario was on why this fight happened and why it happened at God Valley, but whatever happened at God Valley, at the end of that fight, Vox Pirates disbanded, went to separate ways. Big Mom made her own crew, Kaido made his own crew, Whitebeard made his own crew, and the Vox Pirates were defeated. And Roger found Shanks as a baby in a chest. So what we can assume, and what I assume, is Vox tried to take over God's Valley. Because this is a high-end country known as God's Valley, and the celestial dragons are known to be like gods to the rest of the world, or they see themselves as gods. So Vox went to God's Valley for whatever reason. He wanted to take over. He figured, hey, it's God's Valley. Let me take over. Let me figure this out. Let me fight. And let's say he found a woman. He slept with that woman. Had a child. That child was Shanks, because we still don't know if the Shanks that we saw talking to the girl say was the actual Shanks. It could have been his brother. It could be. We don't know, because the way Oda drew him, we never saw the right side of his face where the scar was. So, I think Vox had a baby with a Figureland, and it was Shanks. And this incident had happened. It broke out between God Valley and the Vox, and that's when Garp and Roger stepped in to fight. And Garling Figureland, who we saw in the most recent chapter, he would have been Shanks' father if his wife didn't cheat on him with Vox. So he wanted to get rid of the baby, put it in the chest, and that's when Roger found it. But I also believe, if he was the king of that that would make sense for that. If Garland Fingerland was a hero, he may have also fought in battle, but that was wiped from history completely. But if we think that the Fingerland family was, always a Mary Joie, as in one of the original families, then maybe God Valley was just like a country in itself where royal families could go on vacation or something. That'd be interesting. God Valley wasn't really like any particular country. Maybe it was a vacation home for celestial dragons only, and they want to go out, have vacation, and Garland Fingerland saved the day with Garp and Roger against the Box Pirates, and left behind his kid Shanks in the chest. It's just, we don't know the full story. We can only assume on what happened until obviously Oda reveals it. But we have many pieces to the puzzle, and we keep getting pieces added. Originally, we knew about God Valley and the fight between the Box Pirates, Roger, and Garp. And now we have Film Red, where we talk about the Fingerland family being Shanks. And then we see Garland Fingerland, who is the head of the Holy Knights, or the God's Knights. So we assume that the entire Fingerland family is the Holy Knights. So my theory with that would be they were the family that took over the original family of God's Valley, and then because of what happened at God's Valley, and God's Valley is basically destroyed, they moved the Fingerland family to Mary Joie as an additional royal family and said, okay, you guys are in charge of our Holy Knights. You guys are the last battle tactic in need. And that's what I think happened. I think they had the incident, they brought them to Mary Joie and made them like this elite fighting force. Few clues about the God Valley incident that we can kind of piece together. My theory is that the God Valley incident happened. Shanks was left behind in a treasure chest and brought up by Roger. But what happened at the God Valley incident is very important, and also the fact that we found out about the Fingerland family being present at God Valley at the time, and Shanks being a member of the Fingerland family. The guy that we see in the most recent chapter, Garland Fingerland, we can assume is probably Shanks' dad. If he is Shanks' actual father, then why would you leave him behind? Something must have happened for a reason for him to leave his son behind to carry on the royal Fingerland family name. But why is Fingerland a hero of God's Valley? There's two translations. One said he was a hero of God's Valley. The other one said he was the king of God's Valley. Either way, why are you living in Mary Joie when... Yeah. So I think the incident that happened at God Valley forced the Fingerland family to move to Mary Joie. Fingerland family would have been the family to take over the country after the original royal family of that 20th kingdom moved to Mary Joie originally, such as the Riku family taking over Dressrosa when the Don Quixote family moved to Mary Joie. Shut up! 800 years ago, forming the world government. So the God Valley incident itself, the fight between the Box Pirates, Roger and Garp, and apparently the Fingerland family, which that was erased from history. Even Sengoku didn't tell us about that part when he talked about that battle. Something happened at that incident which forced the Fingerland family to then move to Mary Joie and become part of Mary Joie and create the Holy Knights and be that fighting task force the God's Knights in Mary Joie. I think Rox cheated on Going Fingerland's wife, had a baby, Shanks, and he found out about it, and that's when he dumped it in the treasure chest. Either way. So, we originally heard that Shanks was from the West Blue, but that's what he assumed because maybe he didn't know the full story. Because back in chapter 434, Shanks states that he was from the West Blue. So we can assume, after reading the Road to Laugh Tale stories that we got, on the side, it said that Roger took a long break before going on his final journey. So we could assume, just like Shanks hunkered down in Fuchsia Village with Luffy, we can assume that Roger did the same thing. So the incident at God Valley happened. Roger found Shanks and assumed someone found Buggy. How did Buggy become? Anyway, Buggy and Shanks grew up on the ship, and at that point, after God's Valley, Roger went, quote unquote, into hiding. Not really into hiding, but, to take a break, and moved to an island in the West Blue, where he raised Shanks. And therefore, Shanks assumed he came from the West Blue because that's all he remembers, because he was a baby when he was found in the chest. And they lived on that island in the West Blue for about 8 or 9 years, until Roger heard about the samurai who could read the poneglyphs, so he knew he had to continue his journey and continue talking to Whitebeard, and he brings wine from his hometown, which he claims is the best. If God's Valley is no longer there, how can you get wine from your hometown? So he got it from the West Blue, at where he thinks his hometown is, or he may know about the whole God's Valley incident, or may know that he's from God's Valley, but he still considers that island in the West Blue his hometown because that's where he grew up. That we see Gangland Fingerland being the head of the God's Knights, and I feel like he has a connection back to Shanks in some way. We still don't know if the Shanks that we saw talking to the Gorosei was actual Shanks, or could have been Shanks' brother. We still haven't seen the whole of the Holy Knights. Hopefully next chapter we get to see all of the Holy Knights. We can say, hey, that guy looks like Shanks, or holy crap, that guy is Shanks. But I don't think it's Shanks. I really don't think it's Shanks. If there's a guy that looks like Shanks that's part of the Holy Knights, it would be his brother, which then would kill my theory about the whole Rox affair. So I think that the Shanks that we saw talking to Gorosei was the actual Shanks. He just has some play with the government because of his family name, which technically would be his family name, because it's the same, typically you take the father's name, but in this instance, he took his mother's name, Fingerland, just like Ace took his mother's name, Portgas. So yes, I'm saying now, this is my theory. The Shanks that was talking to the Gorosei was the actual Shanks. He took his mother's name, Figureland, his father was Rox. So he was found on God Valley after the incident because his father kind of shunned him away. And Roger raised him. He eventually found out and actually was able to talk to Gorosei, find out what happened at God's Valley because of his important role and his loyalty. And the government and the Gorosei know that Shanks is not technically a threat. He is an emperor, but he's a calm emperor, and he helps develop peace. So he keeps the other emperors in line, in a sense. And they know that. They know that he's not going to attack the world government. They know that he's not after them. He does want to find a One Piece, or at least help Luffy find a One Piece. But the government didn't know about that. So I think that was Shanks talking to Gorosei about a certain pirate. He's a figurehead. This dude that we see is his father, and Rox is his actual father. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. And make sure you check out this video right here and that video down there. And catch you guys later.